you're watching the tech, I didn't have time to come up with an intro because I've been really busy, so here's a dog video. Alright, so I wanted to share this bit of artwork here with the world. This is a piece of artwork drawn by the same gentleman who does all the artwork for the Zweihander albums, and he's got a lot of interesting art. C.T. Bonnell, B-O-N-N-E-L-L, I believe 2 L's. I'm not sure. You guys can find it. Yeah, someone will link it somewhere. But yeah, that's the Time Warner CEO right there, holding your cable bill. The caption on this was "Why we have a bookshelf." Thought that was funny, so I shared it. Okay. All right. What else do we have here? Oh yes, I also want to say thanks to on Twitter to Dr. Umist, U-M-I-S, I don't know how you say the doctor, I don't know. Anyway, thanks a lot for sending over some 1+1 invites. We're finally going to get that phone, and we're finally going to tell you guys what we think of it. And I'm only going to hold against 1+1 their limited supply. I'm only going to hold that against them a little bit. Probably a lot, actually. I'm kind of angry still, even though I'm getting one. Is that okay? Is it okay for me to still be angry, even though they're sending me one? I feel like everyone should have one. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. It's like they must release this into the world because it is amazing and awesome, and they're not going to do it because they didn't make enough.
Well, you know what I feel like? Okay, there's two things. First off, you can go onto some Asian websites and you can buy one of these right now. There's like a 20-day turnaround time. You can buy one with no invite needed for like $419. And people are saying it's legit. I do not know, but they're listed on there, and it says genuine 1+1 from websites that people have used and said, yes, it took 20 days and I got my 1+1, and it is a real 1+1. 32 gigabyte, not the 64 gigabyte version. But so there's that. That's kind of irking me. So what's going on there? Is that really legit? If that is legit, or if that's not sanctioned by you guys, why are you not shutting it down? And number two, what's the problem with the supply here, guys? I'm worried that by the time the 1+1 comes out to the market, that they're going to be forgotten because there's going to be something else from a different team of hackers that has a better ROM on it that's even better. So someone get working on that, okay? Because I want to be right here, you know? Until then, I'm going to happily use my 1+1. I haven't had a phone in years, so it's going to be nice, like literally, because I've been on Android 2 and my speaker is broken, so no one can call me. So all the vendors out there who have been yelling and screaming about me never picking up my phone, now you can yell and scream for real, because if I say that my phone doesn't work, I'm lying. All right, anyway, we have to announce a winner on the Asus G550JK laptop. So what we did is Wendell went ahead and did a random number generator, and you got, what was it, 26 something, 26, 25 or something like that?
I don't even remember now. It's too
late. I opened up his page. It looks like we're shipping this thing to Australia. Oh, it's right here.
Oh, no.
I'm shipping it to Australia. You know, I got to stop saying worldwide. I know I want to hook up everybody no matter where you guys are. So, hold on a second. Jimmy's got some nectar over there. Yes, sir. So yeah, we're going to be sending it off to list, and this made me really excited. We did a random number, you know, no tomfoolery or anything like that, and I opened it up and I was like, yes, someone is winning this. Oh, it needs to be rinsed, and their profile is completely filled out. So that makes me kind of happy. I'm like, hey, we're actually giving this away to an active member who uses the website. But if someone who just joined for this won it, I would have been fair, but I'm happy. All right. Last order of business before we can get down to the real business at hand. We got the new shirts. They just came in. Check this out right there. Yes, sir. That's it. We did a little parody on the NSA logo, the one where you know, the octopus is hugging the Earth, and I forget what it says, but they put it on their satellites. So that's our little parody on that. And if the NSA has anything to say about it, please come on over. We'll have a cup of beer. If you guys can't do that on the clock. We've got coffee, and I've got the tea that you guys like. Come on over. We will talk about this. Thank you very much, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
And then let's get down to business now that I've got my my beer. All right.
Is the NSA like a vampire? Like you invite them into your house and it's very bad? I don't think I would go that far. Stay away. You're not invited to my office. No.
You know what? I bet there are some really cool individuals who work at the NSA. Like, I don't think that the entire thing as a whole is bad. I think that there's a lot of individuals there who are probably pretty groovy, and there's probably even some individuals there who are like, well, I'm just doing my job, man. I don't know. There's cool individuals everywhere. You know?
I think that's true. I really do. I think that there was a mass exodus from there, and the people that are left are people that, don't want to leave, but are not necessarily bad. But your managers are bad, and you should let your managers know that they're bad during their yearly review or whatever you do for managers inside the organization.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? They'll frame you for something you said to your mistress, and you'll end up in prison. I mean, that's no
You're
big
going
deal.
to Gitmo. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Your TPS report didn't have a cover, so you're going to Gitmo.
I mean, similar to the Petraeus situation, that's probably what's going to happen to you guys. Anyway, you guys are welcome to come over and hang out before or after you guys get fired from the NSA. Wendell, we were in the airport on the way back from QuakeCon, and Kane was wearing the other NSA shirt. The NSA likes to watch with the bathroom logo on it that you guys can pick up at epicpants.com. Anyway, he was wearing that one, and so we went through security, and there's some guy who was working there at TSA security. He was like, he saw Kane and he was like, "Oh my God, Kane!" Then he looked over and he's like, "Logan, Jimmy, oh my God, what are you guys doing here?" And we shook his. We told him we were going to QuakeCon, and we shook his hand, and he was like, "Oh, we got to get a picture together." So we have a picture with the TSA agent, and Kane is wearing his ridiculous "We Like to Watch" shirt.
Well, it is a totally different branch of government, so I guess it's okay. But it seems like we have like 7 or 8 branches of government that actually spy on you and have to do with domestic security now.
You know, whenever they're spying on this, I think that I like to think that maybe they're just watching because they're entertained, but yeah, I don't know about that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Satya Nadella and the new things that are happening at Microsoft. So apparently now at Microsoft, they're all going to be working on Windows universally, meaning that I'm not sure exactly what this means. I'm not even going to say what it means. A lot of people are crediting Nadella for this, this unification of Windows. He wants pretty much one version of Windows to span across all platforms. But this is really something that, what's his name, Ballmer, had envisioned all along. So what did Ballmer call it? I forget what Ballmer called it, but I'll find it in here in a minute. But I'll let you go.
What Ballmer said was vaguely reminiscent of like Nazi propaganda. So let's not. I mean, it really was. It was. But let's not. It was bad. It was really bad. But I'm really so. This is not anything new. Microsoft has been saying this for a while, and they did this with Silverlight most recently. It's like Silverlight is you write once, it runs anywhere. We're going to make a Silverlight client that works on Mac, and it works on Linux, and it works on Windows. And yeah, Silverlight's dead. And anybody that, it's really funny. A bunch of companies invested a ton of money in redoing their apps for Silverlight for the web because, cross-platform. And Microsoft has basically all but abandoned it. There's just nothing there. And when Windows 8 came out, the Metro or modern applications, a lot of those are just HTML and JavaScript. And the Silverlight people were like, wait a minute, what about Silverlight? Don't we have a Silverlight option for Metro and modern apps? And the answer is no, you don't. And I really see that this one Windows, one unification application platform really just extending what they've done with Metro and modern apps, which have JavaScript at their core. They may do some other fancier things down the line, but I'm not sure that they can really. Apple has got iOS for ARM and OS X for x86, and in the next version, Apple is going to marry the messaging systems and things like that together. And I think Microsoft is going to end up doing something like that with Windows. I really doubt that we're going to see a Windows kernel on x86 on a phone, although we might, and that is sort of the mythological utopia.
Well, the whole thing there for me, it looks like what they're going to do, in my opinion, is make it so that there's one API that developers can use to make stuff for a phone, an Xbox, and also Windows. That's what I think is really going to happen. And I just, the other thing, the ifs, like right now you've got a lot of x86 programs, a lot of desktop programs, and if you actually were to run the same OS on all platforms, you'd have to be running like an ARM-based processor on your phone, and that would mean that the entire ARM market is out of the question for Windows. And then it's going to get really weird if you're trying to open up a desktop application on the phone. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing. I don't think they're ever going to allow a phone to actually have a desktop environment and a desktop opening up desktop things. But here's my interesting idea. What if all these devices did have desktops when you're plugged into, let's say like a monitor or maybe another client? You could basically sit down with your phone, I mean, there's some distros of Linux that are like this, where you just plug them in with a USB drive and then you boot into your desktop. What if you could take this phone around, plug it up to anybody's computer, as long as they had Windows on their machine, and then boot straight into your personalized desktop environment? And we can even take this a step further. Like you and I were talking earlier. What if all the devices are dummy devices? So what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, not to derail this episode of the tech, but there's so much Microsoft could do. Like, we can get, all right, there's 5 really good ideas we're going to give you right now, Microsoft, for doing this. It's like, you want to run Windows on, one platform, one unified, whatever. Here's the thing. Divorce screens from functionality. Microsoft already has all the tools to do that, and the remote desktop protocol is one of the most advanced remote windowing protocols that there exists on planet Earth. They could leverage that to do a lot of cool things. Okay, they've got to admit that they screwed up Miracast and the WiDi stuff, like Xbox One. Does it support Miracast? No, it does not. It does support DLNA, though, which is not exactly the same. But neither of those two technologies, in my opinion, are as good at the implementation level as Apple TV with their whole, do you want to do screen mirroring or do you want to just get the video stream? So they've got to figure that out. But can you imagine in the mythological scenario of the future where Xbox One is running Windows 8 and you could run Steam and you could run Big Picture and things like that on your Xbox One? I mean, Xbox One is x86. Microsoft got Windows to run on ARM. They could get it to run on the Xbox One. It's got enough of everything. This could be a download in the future. All right, so that's step 1. They're going to put Windows 8 on an Xbox. Step 2 is dumb devices with screens, like you're talking about, so that if I'm on my phone, I can push the application to the computer. So I've got text messaging, I've got phone calls, I've got all this stuff that's usually on my phone, but when I'm within earshot of my computer or Bluetooth range or Wi-Fi direct or whatever the technology is, I've got these cool apps built into the operating system. I would actually use a Metro application that was my phone on my desktop computer, because I really hate using my phone for texting and all this other nonsense when my computer's sitting right there. And there are apps that do that. But Microsoft could do this in one unified ecosystem because they own everything, and they could make an Android app. The Android apps for Office and remote desktop and things like that are amazing, and with the remote desktop protocol, Microsoft could turn that around a little bit, and instead of using it for remote access to your computer, you could have kind of a push remote desktop where you're pushing applications to a tablet or to a phone or to anything. And if Microsoft did that, they could use an iPad as a display, they could use an Android tablet as a display, they could use an Android phone as a display, Windows phone. All of that stuff would work fine. And it would make it a more unified platform experience where the line between devices and applications is a little bit more blurred.
Can I take this one step farther? Well, while we're going on a rant about this is kind of going to be the future of Microsoft episode. I think that's what we're laying out right now anyway. But what if this? Now, we've also talked about the Xbox, right? And now developers are going to be able to write code that's going to work on Xbox and Windows at the same time. But nobody's talking about gaming. Windows, or Microsoft, by and large, has completely abandoned Windows as a gaming platform, even though it's the most profitable gaming platform out there. And they've put all their money into gaming on the Xbox, and they've even purchased developers in the past, and they've done it a few times, that were making really cool-looking PC games and forced them to make their games available on the Xbox. And here's why they've done this, and I can see it clearly now. This week I've been really taking a step back and looking at consoles. The only reason anybody buys a console is because there's certain exclusive game titles that they cannot get anywhere else. And so it's only these few game titles that Microsoft has on the Xbox that's the only thing making that crappy system relevant. I can't think of any game I want to play on it, but I do think it would be cool if the games would also work on Windows. I mean, since they're saying they want to make one unified platform, why not make it unified in all directions? I know it would pretty much make the Xbox completely obsolete. I don't think the whole living room, I want to chill out and play games, is a really good argument these days, because small computers, because Xbox controllers, PS4 controllers, N64 controllers, even the Wii remote, all that stuff works just fine, and I've tested it all personally on this freaking PC. Super Nintendo controllers, all that works just fine with appropriate adapters. So I don't believe the whole living room argument. I think the real argument here for consoles is there are 3 or 4 big exclusive titles that have been marketed really hard, and gamers really, really, really want them so bad that they're willing to buy the platform. So Microsoft kind of has to do it. I don't see Microsoft being able to make Xbox games available on PC. It would kill the Xbox. But I wish it would be true that way.
I think that they should do that, and if they're going to do this one Microsoft one whatever, that's totally what they should do. That's totally the experience. Well, I mean, they can. They just aren't going to, because everybody's going to be scared of the repercussions. But the reality is,
it would literally make the Xbox obsolete overnight. Like, literally.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. I think that in certain use cases, using the Xbox like that makes sense. You could have an Xbox for the conference room. You could have an Xbox for the media room. You could have an Xbox for all this other stuff. The Xbox does support DLNA, so that you can stream media from your computer. I mean, in Windows right now, you can right-click on a media file and say play on Xbox, and it does that. The problem is that Microsoft always screws up the experience. It's not unified. It's usually a little hokey. It's usually a little disjointed, a little discombobulated, or you can't use it unless the sun and the moon and Saturn are all aligned and Mercury's in retrograde or whatever. I mean, it's true. This is the Microsoft experience. But they've got all the pieces. They've even got a piece that we haven't talked about. If you want to talk about gaming, I mean, if you really wanted to keep it married to the platform, the technology that's in the video that you guys haven't seen yet, where we're playing Skyrim on a Surface RT. We're playing Skyrim on an ARM Surface, basically. And it's basically playable. That technology, which is in Windows Server platform right now, could come into Windows 9, and Microsoft could use that technology to expose, hardware in the Xbox One or a future Xbox platform to the PC, so that you can game on a PC, but it's using the hardware in the platform. Now, because the PC has more powerful graphics hardware than the Xbox platform, that doesn't make any sense right now. But if there's other specialized hardware that comes down the road in a future Xbox, then maybe. Or you could do it vice versa. I mean, you could have the Xbox with the Steam style stuff where your computer's doing all the hard work, but the console's doing the other thing. That would be an incredible, like, Microsoft could bring that to fruition. They would be way ahead of Apple. Nobody else has that. Nobody else has that combined ecosystem. And Microsoft would be able to use their monopoly to extend their reach to other places, which they want to do. They're not going to do this, but they need somebody that has that ability to look for visionary futures like that in order to carry this out. And I don't think they got anybody to do that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect, but I don't expect amazing things or amazing new ideas. Unless you guys want to give us a call, and I'm sure you guys can hire Wendell as a consultant. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be an interesting phone call, at least.
In the Surface 3 AMA thread on Reddit, there was some guy that was like, hey, have you considered a dock with a PCI Express docking port? And the guy was like, that's a good idea. That's something we should think about. And it's like, guys, come on. That's been a thing since time immemorial. There were docking stations that had a PCI slot. I mean, come on.
All right, everybody needs to tweet at Microsoft and tweet this. Tweet something to the effect of, please hire Tech Syndicate as a consultant. For the next Windows platform.
Some C-level executive is watching this right now, and they're just shaking their head, and they're like, you guys just don't understand. This would never work for a lot of reasons. It's like, yeah, it would work, actually.
Yeah. We don't really have too many connections over at Microsoft anymore. We've got Timmy Tech TV, and if you guys know who that is, then awesome. If not, you need to go Google him and subscribe right now. And we also know Barnacules, but he was recently laid off, so sorry about that, Barnacules. I don't know much to say there. Hopefully everything's going to work out. And
I enjoy Barnacules' 3D printing videos.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, and his desk organization videos. He does a lot of practical stuff, and so that's why a lot of people watch him. So you guys should be watching both Timmy Tech and Barnacules. But Timmy Tech still is at Microsoft. So if you're watching this, Timmy, say hi to everybody in your office over there. Hey, everybody at Microsoft. But, get us in there for an interview. We'll just fix everything. Look how cocky we are. We don't know anything about what really goes on behind the doors, but we're totally sure that we can come in and fix it. That's like America thinking they can go fix the Middle East. It totally should work. We'll just blow up Microsoft and rebuild it from the ground up. That's what pretty much they did in the Middle East. Anyway, go ahead.
On the surface, it kind of is like that. I mean, in order to fix the problem, it's like there's no one left that is in any way connected to their market. So it's like, hey, what do you guys expect? Where do you see technology going? No one can even imagine that. The things they imagine are just, not really there. And Apple at least had Johnny Ive. He was sort of a visionary designer that came up with all these really cool ideas for doing stuff. And then, Steve Jobs was like, yes, yes, yes. And so it was totally
he was like,
Darth
yes,
Vader.
he was like, yes, these are all great ideas that I've just had.
Yeah,
Thank you, John.
Yeah. That's exactly right. The whole Darth Vader, Darth Sidious relationship there. That's exactly what that was.
So John Ives is Sidious.
Oh, no, it's the other way around.
The other way around.
Jobs is Sidious, and I don't know who Count Dooku was. Count Dooku might be the guy that's in charge now.
Oh, what's it? The cook?
Tim Cook. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Dooku.
Yeah, he might be Dooku. I don't know. It fits.
Oh, God. Let's just move on and talk about this awful article here on the Wall Street Journal entitled India's Answer to Google Glass, the Smart Shoe. I wanted to say this is awful because this shoe has nothing to do with Google Glass. It's more like India's answer to a smartwatch that counts your calories and your steps throughout the day. So they developed, I'm not even going to talk about this. It's just an insole that's pretty high-tech, okay? That's what it is. It's a high-tech insole. Nothing like
I was
Google
reading
Glass.
this article. I had a really hard time remembering what was in this article because the whole time I was reading this article, there was only one thing going through my mind, and that was, you can tell by the way I walk, I'm a ladies' man. No time to talk.
Just over and over repeating because those shoes look like,
I was imagining a guy that looked kind of like Weird Al from the Tacky video walking down the street with those shoes on.
Those shoes on. These are
and then
normal,
every time his
normal
foot would buzz, he would shake his foot. So I don't know.
I think tacky has a different meaning when you get to India, and you guys in India can let me know because the things that we would consider tacky here, that's like where you guys start, and then you add bling on top of that and color on top of that, and then you make a music video, and it's amazing, and we watch it 900 times a year. That's what happens. Anyway.
Are you talking about Bollywood? Because Bollywood's a thing.
Yeah, Bollywood. I mean, it goes so far, like tacky is here, but it's gone so far past tacky that it's come back around to tasteful. So it's like, that was tacky about 74 sequins ago, but now it's starting to become tasteful again. Now you're looking like a royalty or something from a past era. I don't know. I've probably just lost a lot of Indian fans. And I am a fan of India, so don't go away. Stay tuned because we're going to have some good things to say one day about India. I don't know.
Man, these punky Americans.
I really want to go to India, man. Anyway, mainly because Punjab because of the food, man. Anyway, I don't know much else about it. I just know I really love that style of food, and people are gonna be like, "You've only had the American version and that crap," and I'm gonna be like, "Well, I had some amazing food when I was in Taipei. Some amazing Indian food." So does that count? At least I'm in Asia. Okay, never mind. Let's see here. What's next on the list? ISPs are spending less on their networks as they make more money off of them. This is very interesting. In 2002, there you can see that they were spending about 37% of their revenue on just expenses. Now they're spending somewhere between 10 and 20%. So now they're as they make more money. And Verizon, I want to note, is the company that is making the most per customer, and they're spending the least per customer.
That's not anything new. I mean, the only reason we're mentioning this is to say that we told you so, because last time we said it, we didn't have the numbers to back it up. And now here are the numbers to back it up, that this is textbook anti-competitive behavior and should merit a congressional investigation. Here are the numbers, just in case any Congress critter happens to be paying attention. Here's all you need to start an investigation.
So this is kind of priceless. There's a blog on Verizon's website right now, and apparently Level 3 said to Verizon, like, "Hey Verizon, these ports to Netflix and stuff, they're completely congested, and you guys have the ports all ready for this. Why don't you guys can you guys just open up those ports for us?" So the infrastructure was already in place. They just needed to open the ports. That's all. Everything's there. And Verizon, they got snarky and they got kind of ridiculous, and they blamed Level 3 for. And the main thing, like, I'm reading through this entire thing, and all I'm reading through, between the lines is like, Level 3 didn't pay us. Level 3 didn't pay us, and until they pay us,
for the traffic our customers are using.
Yeah, for the traffic that our customers are using, and until Level 3 pays us, why should we do anything? It's like that's exactly what I'm reading through this. Like, Level 3 didn't give us any money. And we're whining and complaining. So they're basically putting all the blame on Level 3. They're blaming Level 3 for their own ports not being open, basically.
So those of you on Verizon, I'd like to ask you a question. If you're on Verizon, how do you feel about being leveraged as a resource to drive the profits of your ISP higher? Do you think that if your ISP is able to wring money out of level 3 that you will realize any savings in your bill? Because I've got an answer for you, and that answer is no, you will not. So how do you feel about this? How do you feel about them leveraging you? You're paying them for internet service. They are not the internet. They must get the internet from someone else. And here they are saying, no, you must pay us for access to our customers. So they're getting money from you, and they're getting money from someone else. This is textbook anti-competitive behavior, and if anybody had any clue that we're looking at this, there would be a congressional investigation now.
It's really shocking. I mean, it's really shocking because in the blog, Verizon does not mention what really happened. They don't mention that level 3 asked them to open up the extra ports to clear up the congestion. They just went ahead and blamed level 3 for the congestion and didn't mention anything about the basic request that level 3 made. So yeah, it's a bit absurd. It's absurdist theater of the most absurd kind. All right, let's talk just a minute. Okay, go ahead. Before we go on.
It is also perhaps worth mentioning that they said that, well, our customers receive a lot more traffic than they send, and that imbalance in traffic is somehow someone else's fault. That's one of the things. That's actually one of their things for reasoning. But it's Verizon. When Verizon sells you a connection, it's 35 by 5. That's an asymmetric connection. 35 by 5 is 35 megabit down, 5 megabit up. They've elected to sell you that. There's not really any limitation of the technology or anything doing that. In the olden days, an ISP would sell you the download, so you'd have 35 by 5, and then that other 30, because they have to pay for a symmetric connection, that other 30 that they're not selling you, they'd sell to, like a mom and pop hosting company, like a small data center, or like an IT company in a town, or an IT company in a city, or whatever. And that's really sort of gone the way of the dodo, because most of those companies are buying directly from Level 3 or Cogent or somebody like that. Nobody, I mean, with virtual servers and things like that, nobody really needs a quote-unquote neighborhood data center. And ISPs aren't even really wanting to be in that business anymore anyway. So it is Verizon that is selling an asymmetric connection, and they're preventing people from uploading much because they cap the uploads at ridiculously small amounts of traffic. So if they're going to complain about their customers not transmitting information to even it out, they created that situation as well. So this is like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Before we get flamed in the comments, Wendell, I do want to point out that this week, I just read about this yesterday. This week, Verizon did start giving people a symmetric connection in a lot of different markets. So if your download is 50, you're going to get the same as far as upload, 50 up, 50 down. That's not all over the place. They're still by and large, giving out asymmetrical connections, but piece of their market here and there. And I didn't read the full article. I need to go back and find it. I'm not sure where I put it, but it's probably in places like where they have Google Fiber and stuff. Markets where there actually is competition, but they're actually giving people for the same price. 20. They're just upgrading their upload speed. So that's kind of an interesting thing that they're doing. And saving us from people yelling in the comments as well. That's mainly why I brought it up.
Still, Verizon is hideously evil. They're like Senator Palpatine, Darth Sidious level of evil, and they should be investigated for it.
They won't be, but they should be. All right, let's talk just a minute about a company, a UK startup called MadeSafe. And they're saying that in order for the internet to be safe, or in order for us, not safe, but in order for us to save the internet, that the server needs to die. And the way they want to do this is basically by decentralizing the internet. And we've seen some smaller scale initiatives like this where you allot a portion of your hard drive on your main computer to be used for the internet, and you allot a bit of your upload speed as well. So then when someone goes to, let's say, Tech Syndicate, well, they're not going and hitting a server in Texas, or they're not going and hitting a server in Seattle or the UK or wherever. What's actually happening is they're pulling it from multiple connections, almost like a torrent. They're pulling it from multiple users, whoever's on the computer, whoever has those files locally stored on their machine, and they're pulling it from there. So I'm not sure if that'll make the internet faster. Probably it'll be slower at first, but it will completely remove servers from the equation. And they're saying it'll make the internet more secure. And what they're doing to pay you back for using or allotting some of your space on your hard drive or whatever for use, is they're giving you a new cryptocurrency called the SafeCoin, I believe. Yeah, it's a SafeCoin. If it's wrong, you guys will yell at me in the comments. But yeah, they're going to give you guys SafeCoins. They're worth about 2 cents USD right now. But as this grows, if it grows, it'll be worth more and more money. Bitcoin was worth 2 cents at one point in time, you know. So I don't know. You're way more steeped in this subject than I am, Wendell. Do you see any red flags here?
Not really, although if you look at the history of the development of the internet, in order for this technology to catch on, it has to be really, really, really good at distributing pornography. Because if any technology is going to catch on in the internet age, it's got to do that really well. I mean, that's what drove higher, bulletin board systems, and that's what drove higher data rate modems, and that's what drove faster download speeds. Because before there were images, there were text, and you could look up text, and you could look up stuff in your local library and things like that. And until Netflix, that accounted for 35-40% of the traffic on the internet, and then Netflix took over, and so Netflix has eclipsed that. But I don't think there's enough stuff in this technology to provide that right away. But in terms of like textual distribution, and like if you needed a decentralized Wikipedia, it looks like it could totally do that. And so there's a lot of value in that. And so I really hope that the coin part of it is enough of an incentive to get participation to do this, because this is exactly the kind of solution that would be great to have on the internet, because it really does decentralize everything. The one thing that it doesn't decentralize, though, is execution. So like if you have a dynamic page or like a WordPress blog or something like that, it really doesn't decentralize that as far as I can tell. Decentralized computation is something that they've planned for, it looks like, in the protocol, but I can't tell that that's actually happening right now with this version of the protocol. So in that sense, it's a little bit like Freenet, where you give up a little bit of your hard drive and you don't know what's on your hard drive, but a little bit of static content is stored on your hard drive. And as far as like porn goes, porn works really well on Freenet, and so Freenet has taken off like crazy, for better or worse. That's just been the history of the technology, unfortunately.
Yeah, that does. How will that work? I mean, if someone's opening up a page that's PHP and it's running it's generating HTML, is that going to have to work on somebody's computer? I mean, that's going to eat up a lot of bandwidth, and it's going to use it's going to need a lot of computational power from somebody somewhere. I mean, how's that going to work?
Application, even taking out the execution part of it's really not hard. It's the application security part of it, because if the application is not running in a necessarily trusted sandbox, then that's a problem. And there are researchers working on that. Like, there are researchers working on the problem where you can have a remote computer work on a completely encrypted data set and still have it execute normally. But from the local machine's perspective, it has no idea what it's actually doing. I mean, it's doing useful computations, but it's doing useful computations on a completely encrypted data set. Like, that's a thing. People are getting their PhDs in that right now. And so there are people working on solving that problem, and this platform could be used to address that problem. It's not quite there yet, but this looks like it possibly, with about 5 or 6 more years of development, be that platform.
I mean, the thing about safe coins that I think is kind of interesting, and this may be another way to incentivize it than maybe looking at boobs faster. Maybe the safe coin thing will help a little bit, because I know a lot of people are going to look at this, especially if they're not someone who's into cryptocurrency. They're going to look at this and be like, safe coins, another coin that's not going to be worth anything, and I don't know how do you do this, and I have to get an online wallet, and there's a lot of hoops and hurdles. But there's an option to have this at, like however much of your personal space that you've saved or whatever, however many safe coins you generate per month is just going to be converted into fiat currency and given to you that way using an exchange. So there is the option to get real spendable, normal money that you're familiar with. So maybe that could incentivize some of it. Like, oh, I've got some extra hard drive space, I've got some extra bandwidth, I can make a couple bucks. Maybe that'll help make it bigger. I don't know.
It'll be interesting, because they do have, I mean, they've got a plan for just treating resources generically, CPU storage, bandwidth, online time, and those kind of things make it a really interesting platform, but it'll be a while before they're there. but I don't know I don't know enough about it yet to know if the incentives and things like that are going to work the way that they expect.
All right, let's move on and check out this box from Netflix here. This box, it's on the screen right now, can hold the Netflix library. It's how much? 100 terabyte. I'm sorry, 100 terabytes. That's the entire library. That's it. 100 terabytes.
So let's take a moment here, and it's like, okay, let's put on our network administrator hats and say, okay, I'm a network administrator, and I'm in charge of Verizon, and I've got, I don't know, what, 30 million customers, something crazy like that, and about 30% or 40% of the network traffic I've got to babysit from these yahoos is to Netflix. Now, if I'm interested in the best possible health of my network, and you tell me that I can deploy this microscopic
tiny,
machine with 1 to 200 terabytes of storage is what the capacity of this thing is, or 1 to 200 terabytes. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, this one's 100 terabytes, but I'm sure you can get bigger ones. But this one in particular is 100 terabytes.
So if I can deploy those strategically on my network for, I don't know, about every 50 or 60,000 subscribers that are using Netflix, because not all my customers are using Netflix, and it's going to reduce the amount of network traffic, real network traffic I have on my network by 30%, and Netflix is going to give me those for free, you'd be crazy to turn it down. I mean, with my network administrator hat on, I'd be like, yeah, send them. I need them. I will take care of distributing them. I'll take care of powering them. You guys can remote into them, do whatever you need. This is going to reduce the traffic on my network by 30%. This is crazy. But instead, the executives have been like, no, we must charge more money. Yes.
Well, you know that there are a bunch of network administrators at Comcast and Time Warner and Verizon. And hey, guys, if you guys are watching What's Up, I feel your pain. I know you guys are sitting there saying, like, but hold on a minute, this makes sense. What do you mean we have to do it this way? This doesn't make any sense. And they're like, oh, God. They said, didn't you wake up in the morning and you put your pants on and you look at yourself while you're brushing your teeth, and then you look away from the mirror, then you go downstairs and have a listless breakfast with your wife, and you go to work and you work way too hard doing things you don't want to do and ignoring problems you know you could fix easily. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Can you imagine? Like, like, I don't know. I'm hijacking things again. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. It must be the tea or the Jimmy John's or something. Wouldn't it be fun to imagine a scenario where, like, a Congress critter is watching this and the idea enters their head that maybe they could have a congressional investigation committee form to actually investigate what's going on here? But what if that committee, there was an anonymous contact form on the committee's web, on the thing, and they announced as like, hey, are you a network administrator for Comcast, Time Warner, Verizon, or another national ISP? If you are, contact us. And if you are and would like to volunteer information about untoward things your employer may be doing, and you would like to contact us anonymously, you can contact us and talk to us, and it won't be anonymous, but we will keep your information confidential. We will keep it secret, but we will use your information to obtain an actual subpoena for real information inside your company for evidence of wrongdoing, but you will not be linked to that subpoena in any way in order to protect your job and livelihood and to prevent you from being blacklisted in the industry. The sphincter pucker level would be at like DEFCON 9 for the executives and the ISPs.
The problem is
that
the powers that be, they don't work for the people, like like it says on their contract, it says they work for the people and all that crap. They work for whoever's paying them the most money, and that's not us. We can't afford what Comcast can afford to pay them. So I don't think something like that would happen, but my God, it would be amazing. Can we set up a secure thing like that and just take stuff and then display it to the public?
Yeah, we've actually already had people inside contact us to be like, yeah, what you guys are saying is basically true, and I'd love to tell you more, but I don't want to lose my job.
Hey guys, if you're watching, hello.
We get the email and it's like, yeah, what they're doing is illegal as hell, but I don't know anything I can do to stop it. So,
yeah. What was the email? The email basically just said like, yeah, I'm a network administrator and I routinely have to throttle Netflix, even though I could throw a switch and make it faster, they won't let me. So, yeah, that's what we got from an email. And it was, if you read the entire email, you'd be like, I think this guy is either legit, or he used to have this job, or he used to work at a similar capacity at a company like Comcast because he knew his stuff. Anyway, speaking of Comcast and memos and all that kind of crap, there's a new corporate memo that's out about the embarrassing customer service call. If you guys remember recently, damn it, I forgot the guy who called in, Ryan Block, right? So he called in and the retention agent was harassing him, would not let him off the line, kept asking him like, why do you guys want to go to an inferior service? Comcast is the best. I can't understand why you'd want to leave. So it was an embarrassing, and the COO, not the CEO, the COO said that it was hard to listen to. And he sent out a memo and was like, we got to be courteous, we got to be nice and all that stuff. And then in the memo, this is a leaked memo, by the way. This wasn't supposed to go to the public because, to the public, he's like, this is a regrettable thing and we're going to investigate and take appropriate action and probably going to give him a noogie and an Indian burn and maybe sit him down in a bowl of hot water for a while or whatever we do to bad people. It's like that we're going to slap him in the face and, you're never going to talk to him again, right? So that's what they told the press. And what they told their internal people here was like, listen, it's regrettable that this got out, and it's bad, and all that crap, and we've got to be courteous, guys. But listen, he was doing exactly what he was trained to do, and it was almost reinforcing. Like when he's talking to him, he's like, see, to their credit, they did say they were going to examine some of their internal policies, but he did say that he was acting just like they trained him to act. They trained him to ask these questions. They trained him to be specific. They trained him. They're called retention agents for a reason. They're supposed to. When someone calls in, they're supposed to educate them that Comcast is the best thing ever. They're supposed to educate them that if they go to another company, that a pack of wolves is going to show up at their door and kill their children. They're supposed to tell them all these things. These are things that the customer needs to know so that they can retain that customer. So, yeah. It's two different stories here, and I think it's quite funny.
So what you're saying is that here's yet another customer, yet another company that needs a congressional investigation for another set of different reasons.
Well, it's not another company. It's almost the same group of 4 or 5 companies that we're like, hey, can you guys investigate these guys, please? Can someone please? Hey, they set my house on fire. Can you call the fire department? They're like, no. They gave us so much money, we can't even call the fire department.
I'm not even like, can you imagine things where it's like, your grandma calls in and it's like, I'm on fixed income and I can't afford the cable rate hikes anymore, so I really need to cancel. And having to have a little 80-year-old lady put up with this crap, it's terrible.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't really think about because, okay, he is maybe the worst asshole at Comcast. And if he's not, oh, God. But he's right. He's got to be up there, right? And let's say he does 20 to 40 calls a day, possibly more if there's one call every 10 minutes or so. Probably a lot more than that, right? I mean, about in that range. So all these opportunities to harass people, it just so happened that this one guy, Ryan, is a media person. I mean, he worked at Engadget or something, I forgot. I mean, he's like big-time media, and he recorded the call. That's why this got out. This guy could still be at large right now harassing old ladies. He probably still will be at large harassing old ladies. I mean,
well, yeah. I guarantee you there's like 300 more CSRs that are harassing old ladies trying to cancel because they're on fixed income, which is terrible.
Yeah, and then telling these old ladies like, hey, I've got a walker and I can't drive. Well, all you need to do is go to our store and cancel. Like, but I can cancel over the phone, can I? Well, let me ask you some questions. Like, that's not what I asked you. I asked you if I could cancel, yes or no. Oh, you can definitely cancel at our store. It's like, oh, God, kill me now. Anyway. Let's talk about the NSA for just a little bit. This is kind of hilarious. We got a few just tidbits here. There's nothing really deep and crazy to talk about this week, but this is hilarious. James Clapper, how serious can he be about cybersecurity when his own website messes up their SSL certificates? So apparently someone went to dni.gov here. Let me just open this up. There it is. And take a look at that. The SSL certificate is messed up. I think that's hilarious.
It looks like this really doesn't look like that's that serious of a thing. The problem here is that the SSL certificate is not deployed on their content delivery network, which is probably some asshat inside the organization was like, oh no, that's our private SSL certificate. We can't give that to a third party, including our content delivery network. It's like, right. You guys, I mean, come on.
This could also be because of a date mismatch with the client. So, doesn't that cause problems? Let's say if Christopher here, the gentleman who tweeted this, let's say if he has something set incorrectly as far as his date and time goes, this might happen, right? No.
It could, but in this particular screenshot, you can see that it's
not
warning
that, yeah.
coming from the SSL certificate because there's a name mismatch because the NSA hasn't given a copy of their certificate to the people that are doing their CDN because reasons.
I still think it's funny. I want to think it's funny.
It
All
is
right.
funny.
Hey, Wendell, Yo. Remember the stupid Yo app? So the Yo
another
app
$1 million?
Yeah, they just raised another $1.5 million. If you guys missed the Yo app is the most ridiculous thing ever. It brings correspondence down to one word, and that word is yo. And that word yo can mean anything depending upon who it's from at what time. For instance, let's say you get the word yo from your wife at 7 o'clock while you're out at the grocery store. You're going to look at your phone and then you're going to see yo, and then you're going to be like, oh, I'm in line right now and I forgot to get the onions. And you're going to run out of line and go get the onions. But all she said was yo. She didn't say go get onions or anything like that. And let's say the next morning you get a yo from Amazon.com. And you're like, oh, sweet. My next day delivery is here. And you run to your front door and there it is. Let's say you get a yo from your air conditioning unit or your washing machine that's like Android power or whatever. Well, that means your clothes are done or whatever. Everything's going to be saying yo back and forth. Now, this article here on Vox is kind of funny because the observation that they have made is that this makes the entire metadata collection that the NSA is doing completely silly. Now, the reason that the NSA is collecting all this metadata, so they say, they're collecting basically the way what the metadata collection is. I'll explain that too. With the metadata collection, they're essentially collecting, who called who or who called whom, right? And they're just getting that information. They're not getting like anything about that. They're not getting like the contents of that information. But if they see that, oh my God, Bob keeps calling Steve, who has links to a terrorist organization who buys lots of pool chlorine and makes things to poison the plants that we breathe the air from. I don't know. I'm just making this up. But they see that there's a connection there. Then they go and they pull a subpoena, and then they're able to get access to the data because that data is stored on a server at Verizon or something, right? So that is what the metadata is. It's just a collection of, the phone calls with the names attached to them and not the contents. Well, here's what's funny about this. Let's say you guys start using yo as your way to correspond with people. Like you get downtown, you say yo, and that's it. Someone's like, yo, oh, that must mean he's over at the coffee shop that we always meet at. Or your wife says yo, or someone says yo. If they look and they go, ooh, this guy is saying yo to this guy, there's nothing to pull. That's it. All they have is metadata. That's all that yo is just metadata. So they're saying it makes it a bit ridiculous. I don't know how they've made that stretch, but because you still get
I don't think ridiculous is the word that I would use. It's more I don't know, introspective or revealing, because when you use the yo app and you take out the fact that you just sent somebody yo, the things that make it unique and interesting are the metadata, which is perhaps a lesson to us all about how important the metadata is and how much they're misleading us when they say that the metadata is not important.
Yeah, there you go, because you can actually, people are using freaking yo to communicate rather than using text messages, rather than that's just the essence of everything. I think it's completely stupid. I'm not going to be using yo anytime soon. But
if anybody out there is a venture capitalist and would like to send us $1 to $2 million, we can come up with some amazing money-making things to do with it. Just send us an email, please. Thank you.
Hey, we could get started on the UK version called Oi.
Oi.
Also works in Australia. Oi.
It should have two modes. Oi and you what, mate? You what, mate?
Oh, God. That could go in all kinds of terrible directions. Well, we need a Cockney version as well. I don't know what that would be. We need a Scottish version. We need all the different dialects. We need one for all those. We need one for Germany, which will probably be just I don't know what Germany would be. Yeah, I don't know. All right, there's another interesting reveal here. We now know what sort of things the government looks for, like the extra scrutiny, because whenever they do their metadata collection and all that stuff, and if someone ends up on a list because you're talking to the wrong people or something, we're
looking at Linux.
What's that? Yeah,
as we learned last week.
Yeah, you're looking at Linux. You're going to boingboing.com. That'll put you on a list. Well, there's extra scrutiny applied to you. So what does that extra scrutiny mean? Well, let's take a look here and see. Well, they're going to start pulling things like your itineraries, fingerprints. Actually, that's pretty much stuff they already pull. But They're going to start pulling any information on cards that have an electronic strip. I got a feeling that a lot of this stuff is pulled from anybody they can get their hands on anyway. Email addresses, if you purchase binoculars, peroxide, bank account numbers, pay stubs, pretty much anything with an account number. They also want to know any data on your quote-unquote pocket litter, scuba gear, your easy passes in different cities, library cards, the titles of whatever books you've checked out. They want to know that the condition of the books that have been checked out, dog-eared, annotated, are they unopened? What are they? They want to know the business cards at business conferences. I'm not sure how they get all this information, but I mean, they obviously can't get all of that from everyone, but that is what's on the list of what they want for someone who goes to Boing Boing. Because that qualifies. You went to Boing Boing. You read an article about something about Tor or whatever. You investigated Tor. You downloaded the Windows. Oh my God! So the freaking Linux kids are gonna kill me. You download the Linux distro Tails. I think the new version of Tails, by the way, just came out. Everybody. So if you guys want to check that out, do. It's the one that I think Snowden prefers the most. I'm not sure if I trust the Tor network still, and it does use Tor a little bit. But anyway, Tails is out now, and if you touch Tails or you even say Tails in an online YouTube video like I'm doing right now, you're probably on a list somewhere. And then they're going to go and look at all that kind of stuff. What can we do to fight this?
There are reportedly some security issues with Tails right now, which will hopefully be fixed by the time anybody's, like the first 20,000 people, probably not, but after that it might be fixed. And it's really weird. The people that make the Tails distribution, some large company somewhere was paid money to look for, by the government, to the U.S. government, to look for issues in Tails. They apparently found some, but when the Tails developers were like, hey, can we get those lists of vulnerabilities? The people that found them said in due time. And so it's like, what does that mean? I don't understand what's going on. This doesn't make sense. So there may be an undocumented issue with Tails. But I can't imagine what it would be. It would have to be something in Firefox or something in the client software that's actually used to connect to the internet. So I don't know. I'm not sure what that would be exactly. But yeah, all of those things get you flagged for elevated surveillance. And elevated surveillance sounds slightly innocuous, but then you look at all this list of stuff, and if you're flagged for elevated surveillance, it's literally every piece of everything that they can possibly find to piece together every little thing on you. It's like, it's worse than creepy stalker ex-girlfriend stuff. So I mean,
the laptop images. They want to know what's on your iPod. They want to know what's on your Kindle. They want to know the contents of your thumb drives and cameras. Yeah. All right. Let's move on and talk about. Okay. So Dutch spy agencies can apparently receive NSA data, even though didn't they rule over there that the NSA collecting was, like illegal or uncool. I'm not exactly sure what the court rulings were over there, but I thought they were kind of anti that. And now they're saying that the Dutch spy agencies, it's okay for them to collaborate with the NSA.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting situation we thought we'd share because, things that we've been talking about a lot about what's been happening on this side of the pond, and things have been quiet from the other side of the pond, but no more. So if you're Dutch, I'm sorry. It turns out that our surveillance apparatus can totally spy on you and then supply that information to your government. And that's totally an okay thing. So the Dutch court here ruled that even though the Dutch government can't collect this type of information on its citizenry because it's blatantly illegal and, just very bad, other people can collect that information and then share it with the government, and that's totally okay. So,
Wait a minute. So it's okay for America to spy on people over there, and then
yes,
but it's not okay for them to spy on their own people. But as long as the
Correct.
Americans do it, and then we look at what they've done, that doesn't
yes.
make any sense.
Yes, it's the Dutch High Court has said this shall be law. So I mean.
That's like, well, listen, we had to jump through this one hoop, so it's okay now, right? We went through this extra effort to get it.
I feel like there's some kind of thing here where it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but it's like the spy master of my spy master is my own spy master. I don't know what the translation there is, but it's something like that.
Oh God, it's pretty good. I think that's the way to end this episode. I would like that on a T-shirt. I'm ordering a lot of T-shirts lately.
You know what my favorite T-shirt in the world is that I saw the other day, and I probably should not share this, but this is amazing. And I don't remember where I saw it, but I'm probably going to get one. But it was a T-shirt that said A Vulcan in the streets, Klingon in the sheets. That's amazing. Whoever thought of that needs a gold medal.
It sounds like the rap artist Immortal Technique. I think. Must have been him. Or maybe Mos Def. I don't know. Are there any other rap artists out there who are in touch with nerd culture in the slightest? Maybe some. And wearing glasses does not mean they're in touch with nerd culture. All right, everybody. All right, so that's the end of this episode. It was awful. I've decided for you now that you've watched it and are totally capable of making your own decision. I'm going to be like Apple, and I'm going to decide things for you. This episode was awful, but give it a thumbs up anyway. I would.
Yeah, we're really slipping. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. We'll try harder next time.
I have a confession to make. The only thing I want to do right now, I got a printer in the mail. I haven't had a printer since I haven't had a TV in like 15 years, and I haven't had a printer in like 10 years because they are the spawn of Satan, and they only listen to Satan. So we're gonna have a seance later and try to get this printer working. And that's kind of what I want to do. I've been wanting to hook this thing up. And Wendell, there's two reasons I got this printer. Number one is I wanted to print out some, go screw off letters to some debtors who are bothering me that I don't think their debts are legit. That's number two. The number one reason I wanted to get this is so I could print out Castles and Crusades character sheets and some general information for me so we can play some Castles and Crusades. That's the main thing I wanted it for. So I went out and got a laser printer just because I got sick of going down to the library to print out PDFs and character sheets and stuff like that. It's kind of I think it's a good use for a printer. And it's Wi-Fi, so it's going to go far away from everything else because every time I see it, I'm just going to see the knowing that it's there because printers are so evil. They're evil, evil beasts. So anyway, that's what I'm going to go do now. I'm dying to go do that. And that's why the episode sucks because all I can think about is how much I would rather be hooking up that Satan spawn. Did I justify how there think people will accept that, you think, maybe?
The NSA has gotten to you and replaced you with a replicant. What has happened?
Now everybody knows. And nobody's going to buy the t-shirts. Oh, God. We'll see you in the next episode.